Moving on to chapter 2 then. Happiness is the problem, and the first thing that gets mentioned is the Buddha story. And are any of you familiar with the story of Buddha?
Sorry, just go over it.
Is this the one where he had a son? Is this no?
Yeah, it's the
Is
right
it
one.
this one?
It's the right story.
All right, cool. So from my memory,
Yeah. Cool.
I didn't know. I didn't know the guy's. Is the guy named Buddha or the prince named Buddha?
No. So basically,
they're so they're up. Go on anyway.
There's a king who owned the kingdom.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a lot of fuckery that going on
outside.
In
and he builds high walls.
He wants to build a high walls and end up
protect his son from the outside life, and then I know it.
Yeah.
So basically,
go ahead.
There's a king. No, so basically, there's a king. He's got a palace or a throne. He lives somewhere where he's got a young son, and he knows that outside this palace grounds or wherever the temple grounds, there's poverty. There's all these other things. There's your everyday things in life that go on. He doesn't want his son to experience these things. So what he decides to do is build these high walls and never lets his son leave the palace or the kingdom of where he is. What happens is his son grows up thinking, what is outside those walls? Like, he just wants to know what's going on. He's lived a life of luxury, had servants do stuff for him all his life.
Oh, you're missing one thing out.
Go on.
With all that luxury and all those things,
he's not happy.
He wasn't. Yeah. They wasn't. They
felt like there was sense of meaning.
Yeah. There was sense of something was missing.
Yeah.
Like
it did feel like a
more
sense
to
of
life.
meaning.
There's got to be more to life.
So I can't remember whether he escaped or ran away. He got to a certain age and he jumped the walls and he ran away. And he saw all this kind of poverty. People live on the streets. People living poor. And then he felt guilty because they all live poor and in poverty. The people outside the palace. He's lived such a life of luxury. So he then decides, hey, like, I'm going to live this life of poverty. I don't know, he doesn't say this, but it's almost like it's cool to be poor, or it's like, I want to experience what it's like to be poor. So he does it for many years. He like nearly dies. He's living off scraps. He's going from parks to like street corners. And then after years, it dawns on him that, like, do you know what? Like, there's nothing cool about this life. There's nothing, like, I don't owe anyone nothing for living this life, and I don't feel a sense of achievement now that I'm living like the common folk in society. And I think after that, I can't remember what happens after that. Does he go back to? He does something. He almost goes and achieves something. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I'm not. It's that my memory's a bit shaky on that bit. But basically, he goes on to become Buddha, because he learns his lessons in terms of.
That's it. Yeah, I remember.
It's not about the happiness of appreciating where you are.
Yeah.
So to speak, to kind of simplify it. But moving on just slightly, on the same page, he mentions happiness is not a solvable equation, which I thought was a good quote.
A solvable equation. It's not, because is it the same story where it gets raised about all these algorithms as to how to be happy?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. There's no final destination.
There's not a final. I think happiness is not a final destination at all.
You got to enjoy the process.
100%. I think a good story he mentions is called The Misadventures of Disappointment Panda, which I had a chuckle with.
Yeah, I did
reading through that. Some of the pointers that he raised: pain in all of its forms is our body's most effective means of sparing action. Take something as stubbing your toe, and this pain, as much as we have it, it is useful. Pain is what teaches us what to pay attention to when you're young or careless. And this is what's so dangerous about society, that the coolest itself, more and more from the inevitable discomforts of life. I'm sure it does some auto spelling when I spell something.
I have had the problem as well. My iPad, I had to look into it. When I was going over it, I thought I didn't say that.
Yeah, because I haven't written something, and
I wrote something on it. It
just makes no sense, and I wouldn't have written that. But basically, we lose the benefits of experiencing healthy doses of pain, a loss that disconnects us from the reality of the world around us, which is on page 28/29. Why do you think that we get taught to avoid pain rather take it on head first, which can be so beneficial?
Taught from a young age, or just taught?
Why do you think we get taught?
Well, from a young age
to avoid pain.
I think your parents' primary.
And sorry to, do you know what?
That's fine.
I was at my godson's birthday yesterday, and obviously, me and my friend, his child was also there, and we're of the same age, and what happened, and I was just stuck because I'm not a parent at the moment, and I find it funny watching how he's now parenting to how we was parented. So basically, what's happened? A ball's got kicked over to like some bushes, and it looked like it's got like a bit of a
Stinging
verge.
nettles. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, it just looks like it goes down. a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can see the ball. He can see the ball.
God,
It's visible. His son's gone to run to go get it, but he shouted him, "Stop! Don't get the ball!" So he's ran down there to go get it, because he's in his head. He's thought the verge was so deep it's gonna just drop all the way down. But he's gone and got the ball, and yeah, his son kept on kicking ball. Then when he come back, I was in stitcher. I was like, "Bro, why didn't you just let him go and get it?" Because he's like, "Oh, I thought it was a lot deeper." I was like, "Would your dad have let you go down there?" He's like, "Of course. I would have had to go down and get the ball myself." So it's just funny that in terms of how we teach each generation, we kind of, and this kind of goes back to are we a softer generation? We kind of not mollycoddle, but we try and make our children avoid some of the painful things that we experience, so that then they don't experience it. But when they're not experiencing those things, they become softer.
Oh, no,
Because they're not going. He's not going to go into a thistle bush or go into those bushes where there may be a stinging nettle, and he's not experiencing that now. So he's not aware of that there is pain there, or do you know what I mean? So when it does happen at an older age, it's almost like too much of a shock, because it's like, oh shit, like I didn't know these thorns cause pain. Do you know what I mean? So going back to the question, why do you think that we get taught to avoid pain rather take it on head first when it can be so beneficial?
I think I don't say it's quite simple. I just think it's a case of we like to make things obviously easy for our kids. I want to touch on the example you gave, because I got an example very, very similar. So what are we saying? Touching on the stub toe, physical pain is a product of our nervous system, and when we exceed its physical limits, our nervous system duly punishes us to make sure that we pay attention. This is the same in regards to emotions and any other endeavours in life where we learn lessons. When I'm playing, when we played rounders at school, or football rounders, we played football rounders as well, actually. Yeah. So we played a bit of both, all right, depending on what week it is. And sometimes the ball's gone in the bush. You know, like, oh, it doesn't count. I'm like, what doesn't count? So if I can see the ball from 20, 30 yards, so can you. Go get the ball. Yeah. It counts. These kids are dumbfounded as to the fact that they have to go into the bush and go get the ball. It's funny because I've never had a conversation with like the other teachers around as to how they feel. Yeah. But I'm like, it's a stinging nettle. Like when I was young, we went into the bushes, we got the balls.
Yeah, go for it.
And we got stung.
And also, it's with your foot. Just grab your foot.
Yeah.
Just get with your foot. Like it's not like you have to go into the net. If you have to go into it, then I might have to. With the way things are nowadays, I might have to think about it.
I know it's gonna. Sorry to cut you, but I know it's gonna sound so small. But even having that mindset to think, how can I get this ball without getting hurt? Get my foot. That will help you later in life to how to reason with a situation and judge a situation, whether it's traveling in fucking Bolivia and knowing turn on the waterworks or whatever to go over a border. Does that make sense? Those little things help you to navigate to bigger things in life and how to deal with situations.
This is on LBC today, actually, in regards to I don't want to say it was the mollycoddling because I'm not too sure what time I tuned in, and the presenter was asking other people as to why is in fact the same question actually. Why is it we've made it easier for our there was excellent callers. Why have you made it easier for basically our generation or for your kids? And all that. And one guy goes very simply. He goes, in fact, not that it's related. He goes, basically doesn't like he's not trusting of the external factors which may affect his child if they had to do this, that, the third. Like he was explaining how I used to wake up like dawn, like dusk, and then go bed at he'll wake up at dawn and. Anyway, wake up, go play out, and then come back. Obviously, when the sun was setting. Yeah. Whereas now you couldn't do that with a child. And he was saying, "Oh, because of this, because of that, and so on and so forth." But truth be told, is because that's not even the truth be told. Is I think there's been some elements where we've been mollycoddled, and I think we just want better for our children. Yeah. I think there are some elements where things are a little bit different now in terms of the environment and we're living in. But I think by and large, there is a.
I think we definitely get softer as each generation goes on, because we was having this discussion yesterday in terms of like our relationships with our dads and what have you. And yeah, I definitely think how my dad raised me, there would be a lot of elements that I thought may have been good, but there's probably more elements that were, well, not probably, there were more elements that were bad, negative. So those same elements I wouldn't then necessarily make my child experience, even though it's made me into the man that I am.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's all positive. Like I've had to go through a lot of negative to get where I am.
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, I think each generation does become to an extent softer. So yeah, I do. Reason why, we want to protect our young.
So I don't know, Mason. I don't know if you answered.
That's the reason.
Sorry, just very quickly. Sorry.
Yeah.
There was another quote somewhere, just kind of touching on the same thing. We suffer for the simple reason that suffering is biologically useful. It's nature's preferred agent for inspiring change. Mark, the author superhero, Disappointing Panda, the panda who would go door to door, who would go door to door like a salesman and provide people with home truths. Home truths and suffering should inspire change, and if not, you give far too many fucks about people's thoughts and perceptions. Pain, in all its forms, is our body's effective way of spurring action. I think if you're not going into the bushes and getting that ball or getting that tennis ball, you will never learn.
To round that off what you just said in terms of the quotes, another one mentioned is don't hope for a life without problems, the panda said. There's no such thing. Instead, hope for a life full of good problems, which is on page 30. Moving on slightly, happiness comes from solving problems. The key word here is solving, which is on page 31. To be happy, we need something to solve. Happiness is therefore a form of action. It's an activity, not something that is passively bestowed upon you. Is this relatable to anyone?
Yeah, because I get I call them little wins. Even at work, if I've solved something, it's a little win. I get a sense of like exuberance or like a spot of I achieved something.
Yeah.
So I think it's right when you solve something that you've been trying to solve or get to the bottom of something. Because at the time, if you get set a task, you've got something to do. There's something that needs resolving which you can't quite grasp at that time. It's annoying and it's like it's a nuisance. It's a pest. It's like I don't need this, or do you know what I mean? I just want to get it over and done with. But then when you tend to solve something, you get that element happens. B, you actually learn something new, a new skill or something, or you've actually taught yourself something, so you know how to do that better next time. Yeah. So I agree with that. What you've just said.
What about you, P?
I find it difficult to believe to begin with that there has to be a problem in order to be happy. But obviously, the more I read the book, I kind of understood that. I mean, to really appreciate and be happy with something. There needs to be an appreciation for the struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
What about yourself, French?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, relating it to work on having those small wins when I'm having a problem with like the system, like I'll be doing a job and the system plays up and I'm the only one that can fix it because I have to fix it, and I do fix it, and it's like shit. Yeah, that's the problem solved now. And it's just. I've done it. I'm happy that it was a problem that I've solved, and I'm happy that I've solved it. Crack on. Like I'm gonna encounter another problem, but I know because I kept on trying different ways of trying to solve the last problem. If I do the same thing with this next problem, I should be able to solve the next problem as well. Do you know what I mean?
This is so completely random, and it might not relate to what we're talking about. But basically, there's been a spider living because I had my window open for we've had hot weather for 2 months now.
Yeah.
For a while.
So my window hasn't shut basically, and I've noticed this spider that's been living literally in the grooves of where the hinges are and stuff here. And obviously, the moment I close the window, he's dead.
Yeah.
But I've left him, and I'm just like in my head, I'm like, the life of a spider. This guy spun a web and is just waiting there. Do you know that my man caught a wasp the other day, and he was wrapping him up. He wrapped him up, and I left it there. I haven't killed him. I thought, you know, let me just see what he hasn't come in. He's not disturbing me. Let me leave him there for now. He's my little friend, yeah. Bro, the other day I checked, the wasp was gone. I don't know if he yammed him down or what, but the life of a spider, like, what happiness does he, like, what's his game? What's his happiness? Catching something in that web, like, he's chilling there all day, sometimes going to bed, like, sleeping. Yeah. Like, it's so simple for the life of a spider and other insects, and then we make life so complicated sometimes. Yeah. Does that make sense?
True, no, very true.
He's just sitting there waiting, spin one web, maybe food lands, maybe it doesn't.
It's a thought. Maybe we should get a spider on us again.
That might be the rare nephew influenced my discussion. But anyway,
No, it was alright. I mean,
it makes sense, bro.
as long as he webs a spider over there, then it's cool.
yeah, he hasn't come in yet, and he's not looking. He don't look like he's the type that wants me tapping on my air drum at 4 a.m.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Mason, it's the what?
you know what I mean?
True happiness occurs only when the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. We all have our chosen methods to numb the pain of our problems, and in moderate doses there is nothing wrong with this. But the longer we avoid, the longer we numb. But the longer we avoid and the longer we numb, the more painful it will be when we finally do confront our issues. Emotions are overrated, he says. What determines your success isn't what do you want to enjoy. The relevant question is, what pain do you want to sustain? The pain to happiness is a path full of shit heaps and shame, which is on page 38. Is the pain of success underestimated? So anyone?
Pain of success underestimated. Do you know? I think you'll be best placed to answer that first. Not necessarily to say you're at a place in your life where you've achieved major success, but out of all of us, you've obviously done something what I've yet to do, and what P's kind of semi-done, but you've done this all by yourself. And I'm not going to say what it is, but how the pain of going through that.
It's definitely underestimated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 100% underestimated. I don't think, and I'm not even nowhere near where I intend to be, where I'm going towards. But starting from scratch to where we are now, like, yeah, a lot of people would have dropped out. Do you know what I mean? And even relating it to, I could relate it to obviously we've all been university, but I remember starting off with meeting new people, new friends and everything, and by the end of the first year, halfway through the second year, quite a few people are dropping out because they just couldn't either hack the pace or the assignments or whatnot, and they may have thought it was a breeze. But in terms of business, I think when it comes to success, yeah, I think it's going back to the we're kind of a generation where we see instant success, where no one really knows or appreciates what grinding really is. Like eating shit, like really eating shit. Like people don't really understand. For you to really build a foundation of a business, you have to eat shit to an extent, and I mean that in a proverbial way. But yeah, I think it is highly underestimated, especially our generation anyway.
Sorry, I have the answer to the question, so just repeat it one more time.
You really don't listen.
No, I want to. I've got to answer your question. I can answer it now without actually. Alright, cool. Alright. So my thing is, I think, like it mentions in the in the book it talks about obviously problems. So you can positives can be born out of problems, and I think in order to achieve something, obviously you have so many different small problems obviously along the way, and I think in actually then obviously finally getting to that point, and then obviously there being maybe a massive disappointment, you've had all that invested time obviously in those problems, and then for it to come all, I'm going to say, crashing down, dare I say, it can be emotional. I mean, the same goes for cup finals, and so many, I mean, that's the only thing that can come to mind at this moment in time, cup finals and stuff like that.
What about a business that you start and it fails?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because that
happens all the time.
No, it happens all the time, so there's loads of invested time in it. There's also times where, again, even with, I'm going to call them a small problem, alright, where you're unsure in terms of how to navigate your way around it. That can be emotionally draining, really emotionally draining, until you obviously figure out obviously how to solve that problem. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely understand the question. I think it, again, to answer your question, I think that is a yes.
Okay. What about you, Mace?
I think we've seen loads of different scenarios where people broke down and cried, dare I say, after cup finals or being knocked out in tournaments and stuff like that. It's because you invested a lot of time to get to that point in your life, and unfortunately it hasn't quite worked out for you.
Yeah, it's hard to relate to someone else's struggle, if that makes sense.
It's hard. So?
Yes, it can be, bro, because you're not there. You're not. It's not you. Does that make sense? Unless you've been through the same thing yourself, done exactly the same procedure. Say you've related to sports, for instance. That's a good point. Say you've been an athlete yourself and done and trained for a 1500 a steeplechase final or 100 meter sprint final for years for the Olympics, and you get injured in the semi-final heats or whatever it is. If you've been there, you can feel the person's pain. I haven't been there. I can feel for them, but I can't feel that. I can't feel the training in Moscow at the winter at a winter camp. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I disagree with that. The reason why I say that, no, I understand what you're talking about. I'm not saying I disagree. Sorry, the reason why I disagree with that is because I think the same goes in regards to. I'm going to use football as an example, analogy, where people sometimes say those who didn't play the game professionally sometimes can't relate to the players and that they can't manage at a professional level. Yeah. Where I've always thought that's bullshit, and the reason why I've always said that's bullshit is because. Obviously I didn't play at professional level and I didn't even play at academy level, but I've had the ability to find players and to coach players, obviously, to get to that level. So I haven't found or had that problem in terms of relating to them. But the same goes for, obviously, just say, so your example was of someone, just an Olympian, dare I say, failing at a semi-final heat,
who maybe like gets injured. They've got through to the final, and they get injured. And all that years of prep, I can be like, oh, that is so. Like, I can proper be sympathetic, empathetic. But at the same time, I wasn't there with them 4 years ago when they were in Russia at a winter training camp at 6 a.m. in the morning at minus 13 degrees. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but I was up 6 in the morning and putting together my business plan, blah, 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 and then going to meetings and then being knocked back and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but I'm saying relating to someone in your similar... Yeah,
what I'm saying is a lot of... Maybe some people have difficulty in terms of maybe... their feelings being transferable in terms of different situations. Whereas I don't have that problem. So I can see something on the TV and it can be really heartbreaking, dare I say, and something in my life which I found equally heartbreaking, I can relate to that due to the emotion and just understanding and being sympathetic and empathetic. Me personally, I feel, obviously it's not the same, but I definitely have a lot of strong empathy and understanding. That's my personal opinion anyway, and I think obviously I gave the example of a football manager. Obviously I know Jose Mourinho didn't necessarily play at professional level, but he's managed to be very successful in football. And one of the key components or key things people say generally about people who haven't played at that level is, well, how can you manage that level if you never played at that level? How can you relate to your players? But guess what? If I'm sure Mourinho has some of the traits or characteristics I'm talking about in terms of being transferable and understanding, having that mentality to be able to focus at that level to get his play. Ultimately, you have to get into these people's minds. So when I'm talking to friends and stuff like that, and they tell me, "Oh, you know, I can manage Chelsea." I've heard people say this, "I can manage Chelsea. We can win the league." But you're talking absolute nonsense.
Why?
Why do I believe that? I believe that because either things I've seen in them or things I've seen in them in terms of exhibited in terms of what we're playing and stuff like that. But it's actually
discipline.
Yeah, they'll say discipline. Just some of the basic things, or sometimes they underestimate the actual
psychological aspects.
Yeah, all the traits that are required to actually to work and actually be successful at that level.
Yeah.
I think by and large. So I mean, I listen to a lot of people say in terms of, obviously you read things in the newspaper, you have conversation with friends and this and that third, but you got to take everything with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. Anything else on chapter 2?
Yeah, sorry, there was a couple of things that I did have a couple of notes. Sorry, my phone has just gone off. On emotions that are overrated. Sorry, just very, very quickly. When it comes down to it, if you feel crappy, it's because your brain is telling you that there is a problem that is unaddressed or unresolved. Negative emotions... Sorry, just move it. Sorry. So negative emotions are a call to action, and positive emotions are a reward for taking proper action. I do have a few more. I don't know if you want to mention it.
No,
alright, cool. Emotions are merely signposts. Just because something feels good and doesn't mean... Emotions are merely signposts. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's good. And just because something feels bad doesn't mean it's bad. We shouldn't always trust our own emotions. In fact, I believe we should make a habit of questioning them. I personally sometimes second guess my emotions. There's been times when I've been annoyed, let's say for example, and my conscience knows I have no reason to be annoyed, to which I'll vehemently obviously ignore my emotions because I know it's wrong and I know I shouldn't feel that way. I don't know if anyone's felt that way before.
I was going to ask, just before you go on anymore, I think it did raise a point in terms of asking why. Do you ever, and this is something that I personally need to implement in my life as well, that I will be implementing, should I say, asking why you feel like this, like why are you feeling that emotion, then ask the reason why of that answer. And I can't remember where it comes from, but if you ask the question why 5 times,
Candyman appears.
Yeah, he says, "What's good, brother?" No, I can't remember the point that I was making, but it almost brings it down to the most basic answer.
Yeah.
to the core of what the actual problem is. Do you know what I mean?
So
My goal in life is to be happy. But why is your goal to be happy? Because I think that equals a good life. But why does it equal a good life? That kind of thing.
That road.
Yeah.
Sorry, last couple. I don't know. I could have given you an example for that.
If you want, bro.
Right,
go
cool. So
for it.
no, I was just like, I don't know. Obviously, you might have been with someone and you broke up with that person, and then you see her maybe with someone else and such, and it might be a case you still have feelings for that person, but you might actually but you're genuinely happy that person is happy.
Yeah.
And there might be a sense of jealousy, but it's not a case that you're jealous. It's a case that you might potentially still miss that person, but you're happy that person is happy. So that's just an example of what I was saying. But just very quickly, just the last couple. What are you laughing for?
Nothing.
Anyway, some people hold on to their emotions, which is really draining. Learning to prioritize what to give a fuck is important. So I think 2. I must be really funny.
Go on, people.
Sorry, 1 second. I'll just skip the page.
It's alright, take your time, mate.
Thanks, mate. Okay, an obsession. Huh?
Get us a couple of cans.
Okay, an obsession and overinvestment in emotion fails us for the simple reason that emotion never lasts. Whatever makes us happy today will no longer make us happy tomorrow. Which brings us back to the beginning of not chasing the thing of being happy. Enjoy the process. Being happy is a state of being and not necessarily a destination. Balance. And I think so there's 2 more. Our problems are recursive and unavoidable, and the person you marry is the person you'll fight with. The house you buy is the house you repair. The dream job you take is the job you stress over. What we gain, we lose. Being happy and sad are inevitable. What creates our positive experiences will define our negative experiences, which is talking about obviously cup finals and stuff like that. Or just an example. So whatever it will be. As difficult it can be, you can't weigh yourself down with problems. So the last one, I believe it was, no actual place of happiness can be a very difficult notion for people to accept, because life, as I've said, can be obviously very long. I've mentioned it before, which we laughed about, and difficult. So the fact that after working so hard to get through it, there's no solace or reward. Can be disheartening, because we like the feel that we can alleviate all our suffering permanently. But we all have problems. It's just how we deal with them.
Sweet. So bringing that up to chapter 3.
Okay.
You are not special.
Special. Special delivery. Sorry.
I'm
Show
so
my age.
special. So special. Alright, so on page 44 he mentions, it turns out that adversity and failure are actually useful and even necessary for developing strong-minded and successful adults. It takes just as much energy and delusion, self-aggrandizement, to maintain the belief that one has insurmountable problems as that one has no problems at all. And that's on page 56. The benefits of the internet and social media are unquestionably fantastic. In many ways, this is the best time in history to be alive. But perhaps these technologies are having some unintended social side effects. Perhaps these same technologies that have liberated and educated so many are simultaneously enabling people's sense of entitlement more than before. Is technologies becoming a burden to our social life?
For some people, yeah, it's definitely becoming a burden.
Say again?
I don't know why you're looking at me. I can do the same thing, boy. You know what? Can I say something very, very quickly? Oh,
Fred, what's your thoughts?
No, so
answer, bro.
No, very, very quickly. Go on. So was it? Can it become a burden?
Answer, bro. That's
no. I'm
Is technology becoming a burden on our social life?
It's a gift and a curse, but anyway,
it's a gift and a curse. Okay, I remember being. I remember we were out the other day. Where were we? We went to that place. I don't want to name it. Just
Google head office, Facebook headquarters.
No, I still want to name it. I forget that.
Voodoo rays.
This guy's got bands. All right. He's got bands. All right. Sorry. All right. We went to the place in White City.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went to
that place in White City.
No, I've actually forgot the name of the place. Okay, cool.
That's fine, but we went to that place, man. What's wrong with this
went to
guy?
a place in White City. All right. And on this whole social media.
Do not put this guy on the stand.
Oh,
please.
bro.
Anyway, go.
What is it, man?
Am I getting banger?
Go on.
Went to a place in White City.
That's it. Hey, keep it moving. Come
You
on.
gotta imagine that. Anyway, alright, so went to a place in White City, alright, and
This man walks to the courthouse with one of the teachers saying, "I'm not a snitch, but dot dot dot."
went to a place in White City.
Go on.
Bro,
Anyway.
you said it about 4 times.
Alright, cool. Alright, so the
You
point I'm
wanna say it
making
one more
is... No, I'm not gonna say it one more time.
Go on.
Alright, my thing, I don't, when I'm, so, with social media, I use it as a means of...
As a means of breakfast, lunch, dinner,
No.
night
Okay,
time.
cool. So I'm gonna get to the point. Okay, cool. We're all sitting down. I don't know. This dude has got his phone up. He's all walking around doing the whole Snapchat. No,
Snapchat. Me.
you didn't go around
I took photos from the rooftop, rude boy.
You weren't talking on your Snapchat.
No.
Okay.
Shh.
No. what I'm saying is, I live in the moment. I'm not the type of individual where.
Hey, the moment was 4 hours. I don't have time to take a couple photos.
No, what I'm saying is, I use social media for a case of literally just laughing, whether it's in the morning or laughing in the evening. I've said it before. I use it in the morning, use it in the evening. I don't necessarily use the social media tool when I'm in the moment as such. That's not necessarily a thing that I do.
What about you, Mace? Or do you want to add anything?
No, I've got nothing to add.
No, so we basically said, is social media, is it a blessing or is it like what? Like,
Is it
what's
a
your
burden?
thought? Yeah, is it a
Yeah.
burden? So what's your thoughts? You for some reason you've angled your argument on me, but anyway.
No, that's because you said that I use. No. That's because you said that I use it as a tool. There's nothing to be silent. There's nothing for me to silent. To be silent about. There's nothing to be silent
Man
about.
went to shh.
Is there a burden?
With shh.
Nah, burden. I don't think so. No, for some, yeah, but personally for myself, no.
Okay. What about you, Mace?
I've said it, gift and a curse. So
Yeah.
gift being, looking at the wider context, I gave you the example of my neighbour and the burglary.
Yeah.
And the fact they could log in to find your iPhone and track down where the iPhone was within...
But is that social life, though?
Yeah,
Say that again,
It's
sorry?
social life.
Are we just went into social life?
Yeah.
I think it's both, man. Even like, so you guys know I'm going away next week. Pox, you go away next month.
Yeah.
Social media can tell me where the hip spots are, or guess what, have a look at this because this is what you might enjoy. I can just type something in and bang, it comes up.
Yeah.
So that's a gift in that sense. It's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
It's a curse because you can, and we mentioned it earlier in the podcast. You can go on there for half an hour and come off there having suicidal thoughts, thinking, "What is my life worth?" Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the quick fire examples I can give.
Yeah, no, I think that's I definitely agree in terms of it has its gift and the curse. I'm saying it's a bit more detriment than not.
Okay.
On the social media side of things, don't get me wrong. I think everything has its place in this world, and I think they are positive and negative, everything. But in terms of how we conduct ourselves socially, it is having an impact, and maybe not on so much us because we're like the high end of the millennials, but the younger part of the millennials and the generation below, it's a big problem because it's a funny thing. As you know, it's one of my friend's birthdays today, and I bought him a present, and it coincides with one of the conversations we have, and it's whenever we're in a social gathering and we're talking, people start using their phones whilst talking, or they could be doing their things while we could be playing a game and they start using their phone or their devices whilst we're interacting instead of being in the moment. So I bought him, it's called a phone gel.
Yeah.
And whilst you're in these social interactions, you can put people's phone in this kind of gel.
Yeah.
And no one can touch their phones for whatever it is. So if we're playing Monopoly for a few hours, everyone put their phones in the phone gel.
Yeah.
That's it. You have to pay attention to everyone that's in the room because you can't get hold of your phone. It's in gel technically. But that's what I bought him for a present because this is where we are now. Like people have parties of, okay, let's have a party where we just don't use no technology for the day. Like that's an actual thing now. It's a party, so it must be prevalent for it to be a detriment where we have to put these things in place for us not to use technology. So for me personally, I think it is becoming more of a burden on our social life than not.
There's two things that spring to mind. The first thing is, when I was young, when I was 11, 12, 13, I always thought there was an art to navigating yourself around London, around certain areas, map reading, remembering streets. This takes me here.
Yeah.
I just thought there was an art to that, and for years and years, when this whole sat nav stuff come out and you can get these apps on your phones, I was like, in my head, I was like, I would always be like, let me try and work out myself.
Yeah.
Because I just think there's an art in knowing where you're going. I know it's going to sound completely weird.
It makes sense.
It's like, it's an
I'm
art.
terrible at that, bro.
I just think there's an art in it, like navigating how to say take the second left and third right by reading a map.
Yeah.
And when the map says turn to page 86 to continue with this area, and you have to turn there. There's an art in that. Like, I love it. Do you know what I'm saying? And the second thing is, what's prevalent to what you were saying is, have you noticed that certain, especially with comedic shows, you go in and then actually you have to take your phone off you and put it in a locker.
Yeah, to
Because
be in the moment.
it releases, there's that, to be in the moment, and if this guy's got 16 shows in 20 days, and you there film it and put it on YouTube, that's him done. That's exposed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So it's prevalent, it's relevant, should I say, to what you're saying.
Our lives today are filled with information from the exchange of the bell curve of human experience, because in the media business, that's what gets eyeballs, and eyeballs bring dollars. That's the bottom line on page 58. Do you think anyone actually cares? And if so, what are they doing about it?
About what? The last thing I got left with was dollars.
Yeah, eyeballs.
Exactly. So our lives today are filled with information from the exchange of the bell curve of human experience, because in the media business, that's what gets eyeballs, and eyeballs bring dollars.
Bell curve of human experience. Go on.
In the media business,
yeah, the bell curve of human experience. Sorry, I've read it, but I might have forgotten. Sorry. What is this bell curve of human experience?
So basically, the media business want you to pay attention to their app.
Yeah.
And by them gaining your attention, that makes them money.
I got you.
Does anyone care?
If they make money off me.
Does anyone care about the fact that these media companies are putting a lot of effort into gaining your attention and so basically things like Snapchat, where they've got the streak, the hot streak.
I don't even know what that is.
When you message someone,
yeah,
you get I don't know. I haven't got Snapchat, so I couldn't tell you. But I've just been made aware of it. But basically, when you go back to back, so say we're in a group and we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
The more we stay in touch, so if we speak one day on we got to keep on continuing it. So we get a hot streak of this conversation. So we've got to keep on paying attention, giving ourselves attention to this app. And the more we pay attention to this app, the more money the same app will get. But they will keep on putting things in place, so your attention is glued onto this device.
Yeah.
But my point is, does anyone care? Because
I do.
But what do we do,
bro? Because I listen. There's a couple of now and again I'll pop onto. You lot know I'm into the UK scene, music scene, and that. Yeah, it's my guilty pleasure because I'm listening to 15-year-olds rap, and I'm double their age. So it's my guilty pleasure. And there's a couple of well-known what do you call them? Platforms.
Yeah.
Platforms where a lot of music videos are uploaded to, and I'll go on there to listen. So it's feeding my it's not a need, but it's feeding my request or desire to listen to these things. At the same time, I'm plugging in.
But what about say a 13-year-old that's a lot more impressionable? And I'm not even going to talk about. I'm not even talking about the music videos. I'm talking about just your basic attention on this particular app. You're not doing anything that's uplifting. You're not getting in touch with the real world. You're not bettering yourself. It's not making you a better human or doing something bigger than yourself. Your eyeballs are on this device. Is that not a detriment to society? Like if everyone's got their head down on the device.
There's what I don't agree with. So my godson is 11. No, sorry, apologies. Is he 12 now? He's 11. What month are we in? July.
11 or 12.
Anyway, he's 11. What I don't agree with is because I haven't played a console since sorry, that's a lie. I haven't owned a console since PlayStation 1. Yeah, as soon as they brought out that analog thing, I was like, right, game over. Too many buttons on this joystick. Anyway, what I don't agree with is all
buttons
this
on this joystick.
Joypad controller.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I don't agree with is you can now play with people online on the net, and you can speak to them online, speak to your friends and all that. It's like encouraging you not to leave the house, bro. I used to go out and play run up and down and do athletic runs on the road and that, or go park and play football. You know what I'm saying? It's encouraging you not to leave the house. Like, what the hell? And socialise.
Yeah.
So, like, no word of a lie. I think you said it before, Pete, back in the days, but my godson's alright, but certain kids can't even speak properly.
No,
they can't hold a conversation, or they can't even tell you about their day, or everything's in like bitty. Yeah. It's not a full sentence. Yeah. Crazy.
I think acronyms.
Even because there's a couple of rappers that we both like, P, and they've been on interviews, and we're like, what the WTF? Like, basically, like.
But when they rap, they can.
When they rap, but I'm just saying they probably make all them sound effects, and they don't know what the hell to say. Because when they try and string a sentence together, it's shocking.
But going back to the point though, like, who actually cares?
I personally care. The reason why I think there's one clear reason why I care, but I'm sure there's a few others which I'm not too sure, but at this moment in time I need to probably think about it in a bit more depth. But I mean, I know there are recent Facebook scandals, so they're the small reasons why I care, where I'm invested in your app. Obviously, I'm invested in your app, to which I use for many different reasons. Obviously, you get advertising, which I've got no problem with that. Obviously, you're entitled to make money, and so you should. But then if you go and sell off my details for, I'm going to say, for the greater evil, so that's been dramatic, but for the greater evil, for something which is not going to positively, but it's going to negatively impact society, then I have a problem. Apart from that, I don't believe I have a problem. No, I do have a problem in that, as Mason said, obviously it impacts kids in terms of maybe their attention span, they're not out as much and so on and so forth. But I think, truth be told, people actually got to take responsibility for themselves.
But I think you're saying people should take responsibility themselves. I'm not even trying to argue that point. But also, you got to remember, there's a lot of youth that use these apps that don't have the mindset or even the hindsight to see what's actually happening. Like, a lot of their time is being taken away from these media businesses, and they're not getting anything out of it. What do you get after playing 10 hours of Candy Crush, bro? You know what I thought about this today. I don't know why. I'm not too sure what it's related to. It might be something that it might be an Instagram. I'm not too sure. All right, and I was thinking, okay, I developed the Instagram app. All right, your aim may be obviously, you know what, put up pictures, very small captions, blah blah blah. Yeah. There's nothing negatively. You don't have a negative angle as to why you're putting this app out. Yeah. But unfortunately, with some good things, there can be one or two loopholes there, I say, as to why it might negatively impact a culture or impact people. But that's not your aim. But unfortunately, you can't control. No, it's not necessarily their fault in terms of.
So what I'm saying is
where the trends go.
What I'm saying is you can't control that. But that is not your aim. But you can't necessarily control that. Your aim is for to positively impact society in terms of people are sharing pictures, this and that and the third. If people then decide to use your app for something which. Not necessarily use it. So if people become heavily invested in your app and are on it more often than not, I don't know if you can take full responsibility for that. I mean, can you take full responsibility for that?
No, I'm not saying that it's all one-sided, that they're like an evil corporation or anything like that. Like they set out to, well, some people, conspiracy theorists say they do, but I don't think they intentionally set out to almost dumb people down or take that attention away where they could be doing something more beneficial. But at the same time, I do think we need to protect, and I'm not saying to put legislation or laws in place where nothing can be done, because I think we're so into this kind of red tape era where anything gets flagged up, it gets brought down straight away. But I do think things need to be put in place where a lot of the youth are highly distracted by these things, and there needs to be some kind of cut-off point where it's like, okay, we should, like, you as a company to say, okay, well, this person's been on the computer for 24 hours straight, no matter even if they've gone and had a break. If you've gone and had a break and you just left the computer on, you need to just turn it off.
It's funny you say that, but
you can't just have people on their computers 24/7 and that's going to be okay for their mental stability. That's not going to be.
But this is, and I forget the phrase I use, but this is, I money versus the greater good.
Yeah,
we all know the side where people. No, I want to say people, or I want to say the corporations are leading to, are leaning to, not leading to, are leading to. It's about making money. It's not about impacting society.
Yeah, no, but that's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
It's about making dollars. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny.
So that's my point. But who cares? So no one cares, basically.
I don't say no one. I do care, but you talking about
what do we do about it?
Well, you don't want to get to me about because I don't say I'm prepared to do blah blah. I mean, I'm quite comfortable in taking. I don't want to say taking stances. Obviously, with things I care about, I'll quite comfortably take stances. But unfortunately, you need. I want to say you need a number of people in order to make an impact on something along those lines, and unfortunately, there's not enough people to do so. That's just.
Have you tried?
Have I tried in regards to social media?
Yeah.
No, because I don't care enough. But sorry, not in regards to Facebook. That's different though. Because me personally, I have issues with regards to obviously the information that was sold off to this and the third, where it might have impacted whether it's elections and this and stuff like that. I have issues with that. I don't use Facebook. I still have an account with them, but truth be told, I have an account with. I don't even get into too much in it, but I have an account with something, all right, and I've tried. I'm like, cool, okay, you don't want me to use your platform anymore. All right, cool. Delete. Stop sending me emails and stuff like that. But unfortunately, they'll still send you emails. They're not. I mean, I don't want to say because I signed up to them originally. I'm assuming because you signed up to them originally, they can keep your details and keep sending you stuff. But at the same time, they won't allow you to use your platform. So sometimes I'm like, what is it? Is either you want me to be part of your platform or you don't want me to be part of your platform? No, I mean serious. I've had this conversation a couple of times. 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 Conversation a couple of times.